On your phone, simply say yes. Okay.
Okay. Done.
Please say yes. Okay. Let's start with 3 times of Gayatri Mantra and finish with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhuvah Swaha Tavetu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Demahi Deyo Yana Prachodaya Om Bhuvah Swaha Tavetu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Demahi Deyo Yana Prachodaya Om Bhuvah Swaha Tavetu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Demahi Deyo Yana Prachodaya Om Bhuvah Swaha Tavetu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Demahi Deyo Yana Prachodaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much for coming to today's session. This evening, we're going to have a very special session. Sunyata is going to guide us, talk about the absolute and the particular. Perhaps, Sunyata, you may want to walk us through why you wanted to talk about this topic today.
Am I here? Can you hear me all right? Yes. Good. All right. And you can see me all right? Good. I'm on my phone at the moment. So, this is the particular. The reason why I want to talk about the absolute and the particular is because of their difference, because of their particularness. Of course, when we consider the absolute, we think of the cosmic and beyond. And the nature of the cosmic is no mind, all mind, no body, all body, cosmic body, universal body, beyond soul, beyond jiva, beyond Shiva. And when we think about the particular, it has to do with the qualities of moving in the world with one another, our relationship to things, or people, relationships to things, and how we move smoothly through that. So in truth, there is no mind, no body. But in the particular, there's all number of individual body and form. And we see a distinction. People deal with the particular in what we call the mundane life. And we think that if we're dealing with particular, then we're somehow disassociated from the absolute. Oh, this is really true. This is really true. It's just a set of attitudes, a set of ideas falling into the mind aspect. I'm dealing with the particular. So there's certain movements that I have to make to have things move nicely. Well, am I making those movements? Or is it circumstance that has me do this? Is it just happening? And all I have to do is be easy about it, contribute where I can, move to what I know to move, dance to where I know where to dance, smile to where I know where to smile, meet those who meet in love, be love. But sometimes it's particular. Sometimes people come to us with aberrations or differences. And how we meet this, how we meet all these distinctions are from the absolute viewpoint. Is the absolute void and empty, or is it everything? Is the absolute everything? And if it's everything, then how is it meeting the particular? Just as it is, in every moment. And there's two positions, I guess. The particular is met with a sense of what's termed as being bhakti, where we move in devotion to what we know we could do, to where we can do good. We know when we can need to step back and ask for help. In the world of the particular, we can fairly clearly know what we know and know what we don't know. So we know where we can find help and support where we need it. We can say yes to support when it's offered. If we come at it from a point of ego, then we might not meet the particular as it's offered to us. Ego can appear in what looks like the absolute. Of course, this isn't the absolute, this is the particular. Because the absolute wouldn't discriminate. The absolute would simply meet it in totality. It's fully aware of the parameters of things. It knows a fleshy body can't run through a wall. It knows the dimensions of things. It also knows what it knows it doesn't know. It doesn't know what it doesn't know. It doesn't rest on knowing. It doesn't need to know. Knowing is simply here. It's a given. It's not a mentalist approach to knowing. The mentalist approach to knowing is the learning that we do at school, learning by rote, learning to agree on laws and principles and systems, terms. But the absolute doesn't rest on this knowledge. A small component of it does, but it's a very, very small component of it. Hardly needs to be considered. But for where we move as body and mind in a world, it's particular. And it does that in cooperation with others. In the world of being human, we work with one another. Everyone presents a certain offering in terms of what looks like abilities or resources, forms or number of things. This is how it occurs in the particular. But it's really all just part of our oneness. The separation, divisions between things is ego. Or where we claim something, it's all perfectly good to say, oh, I know that. Very, very good. And that's offered up as an offering. Or I have this, and that's offered up as an offering. And everyone cooperates in the world with one another. It's a sharing. It's not just tied up with money. It's not just tied up with resources. It's not just tied up with abilities. It's not tied up with knowingness. It's tied up with sharing. That's the particular. And there's a freedom in it. In the same way as the absolute is the ocean, the particular looks to be things moving about in that same form. So these two coalesce with one another, the ocean and the particular. I'm the ocean, I am the particular. I'm the particular in the ocean. It's my ocean, our ocean, the ocean. There's a confidence in it. The framework of the particular is where we see love between us. Love is the movement between us, or where we can recognize one another's special abilities and traits and qualities, abilities to share. And in the absolute, everything is love. Even the chaos. Even the chaos. The chaos is a consequence of the absolute. It moves us to the higher. Even those things that look to be negative, physical healing or something, has the property to be able to conjoin people in a particular way. The opportunity for another to give, to be, to do, to love, to show love, to be loved. All of these coalesce together. There is only one. There is only oneness. Even in the particular, there is only oneness. For the eyes open, the absolute is the particular. The particular is the absolute. The fine points of moving are where we see ourselves as being human in a world. We have particular relationships, principles and laws, but the absolute isn't limited by this. These are just small aspects inside the greater self as the absolute. And we're all that. It doesn't matter how humble our offering is. Even if the best one can do is just offer a little bit of money to help, is very, very good. Or it might be a special set of abilities or a number of things. This is the particular. Our skills, our gifts, small things, small acts, cooperating with one another, deep listening, being there for beloved, being there for all beloved. This is the particular, and this is the absolute. They're identical. They're identical. You know, of course, for where we are an apparatus of human inner world, then the parameters are only set to the parameters that we can experience in a human life. But of course, that's not what's happening. It's the whole ocean that is moving. Everything is moving as the absolute. And the particular is our opportunity to lose ego. There is no ego in the particular, if we're honest. It's just sharing. We're simply sharing. There's just even movement of energies in different form. And the more refined that is brought forward through love. Really simple love, with no expectation. Just simply to love. In every form, in every way. In love. Considering the other. Considering the beyond. Of course, it's all just an extension of I. It's I as the unknown, appears as others. This is just divine poetry playing out before God. It's still important to come back to reset ourselves in meditation for where we lose sense of the absolute. To see this as ever present. It takes a little time to get the knack of this. We can easily get consumed by the particular. The particular can look like universes within themselves. Each little small act can be all-consuming. But this is the nature of God. As above, so below. It's this metaphor. Universe within universe within universe within universe. Even this world is a multiplicity of universes all coalescing. This is why there's so much diversity. Diversity is in particular. And we can be challenged by the unknown. This is also beauty. This is also beauty. We love to meet the unknown. We like to understand greater. This is also God. Forever expanding. No locality to come to. No fixed point. No absolute as a thingness. Forever moving. Forever in flux. This is the particular in the absolute. This is the divine poetry. And small things concern us less, except that we have an interest in focusing on that thing in the moment. And we look and we have an interest in it. It wouldn't be sitting before us if we didn't have an interest in it. And there's something, a special reason for why something appears to us the way it does. And it asks of us our authenticity. Our honest best, at least. In the particular, how can I serve you? How can I listen to you more deeply? Because this is our opportunity to meet the unknown. The particular appears as polarities. This is its beauty. There's no polarities in the absolute. In the particular, it's here. This is the dance of God. This is the dance of the God and the Goddess. This is the particular. We delight in this. This is where poetry is written. This is where life is had. This is what we usually call life. And this too has to be absolute. Lived out to its fullest. We have all opportunity to come to points of being renunciates. There's no renunciation. We just simply have the opportunity to sit in our quiet when it comes. And we sit very, very well in our quiet as it comes. It's our opportunity to meet the absolute. And whether that is just for a small moment or whether it's for days, this is our opportunity to meet the absolute. Meditation comes easy because the particularness of the world will visit us soon enough. The particularness of the world will ask something of us soon enough. And then we simply meet it as it appears, with deep listening to understand what it is that we can do to serve it, what it is that we can do to help raise it up, or whether it's an offering to us that we might be served and life might be made better and easier for us. We don't need to live in a mundane world. The particularness defined by a mundane mind is not the particular, is not the diversity of the particular. The particular and the diversity of the particular is so broad that it can occur in any way. And we need to meet it with our humility and graciousness as well. To know when we need to bow down to accepting a gift. To give the other the opportunity to raise up. To accept an offering. To accept a gift. Also, this is important. Something that we can forget. We can become too well disposed to the absolute to know where sometimes we can receive, and we can do that graciously. Everything is given and everything is received freely in love. This is the particular. And we always return to the absolute easily. Every night in going to sleep, we meet it as our head kisses the pillow. And we have quiet time with ourselves. We come back to our sadhana. We come back to dhyana. To focus better so that we can keep that quality throughout moving in the world of the particular. Grace and humility and love. Grace and humility and love is our platform. to expand into the fullest life, to enjoy the fruits of life, the simple fruits of life, to enjoy the beautiful qualities of life, to share it, to make others feel this prosperity with us. This is the absolute in the particular.
Thank you so much for giving us a broader overview about the absolute and the particular. What I hear very often in my clinical healing experience is that people often say that they get lost. Now they understand the oneness, assuming the oneness and the absolute is the one thing, it's just different expression. When it comes back to running a physical life of relationships, particularly, that is associated to the heart into our daily lives, they get confused. As in, the physical life is here, the relationship is here, where our spiritual practice is there. We understand the oneness. We love one and another unconditionally, but they cannot bridge these two together. Therefore, they experience all kind of a trauma. How could you shed some light in relation to that?
If you look at the past has a number of variety of experience, and here we are. And if you look very, very carefully, and this needs a refined eye, we have to develop a really, really deep understanding. And to develop a deep understanding, we have to have a very, very deep listening for others. If in the past we've experienced forms of toxicity, often relationships are formed on the wrong basis. They're not formed out of life, but formed out of convention, because people are looking for what they can get out of a relationship. And this is the wrong way of looking. If you come to any relationship with an expert, it's one thing to recognize the qualities of another, whether it's in the thingness of another. But of course, this isn't really what the other is. The other is far greater. And I'm not just talking about person-to-person relationship. I think it's to anything, whether it's a relationship with a color or a form, you of any type, an animal, anything. You can only guess the dimensions of that thing which is apparent to you, but there's a universe behind everything. It's like if you imagine two spheres coming and kissing up against one another, the spheres can only touch at an infinitesimal point of what the otherness is. So the otherness is this immensity of the unknown, and to presume what that immensity is to expect and to assume too much about the other. You have to discover it. You have to discover it. And that requires a really, really deep looking and listening. And that is love. Love becomes a preoccupation with something. If you love particular relationships between colors, this is what I do all the time. You find that there's very, very subtle relationships between these, and they create the sense of what they are. And all you can really do is work with them. When it comes to human beings, you really have to be present to another human being. And in most circumstances, say for familiar circumstances like family, well, most people are born accidentally into a circumstance, and they have to live through that thing. And very often these circumstances are abusive. Abusive relationship, if you know in yourself that there isn't an expectation on yourself, then there won't be any attachment to it. You can simply walk away. And if that relationship is really an authentic love, then it will approach you with authentic love. If not, it will be toxicity, and you have to move away. You have to surround yourself with good people. There's many worlds in this world. There's oneness, but there's also, with the particular, there's many worlds, and there is evil in this world too. So we could play really, really broadly and deal with dark matter. I mean, really dark matter. You can't expect to go into those places without picking up what one would call karma, because you're playing with dangerous forces. But we have the eyes to see these qualities, when we're not ready to look at it, but we stay away from it. You look at your life, with all the reported darkness that happens in this world, it's amazing how little we see. Isn't it a reflection of our life? It doesn't enter into our life, our particular life. Our lives say somewhat harmonious, unless we're in toxic relationships. Anyway, when it comes to these particular things, each thing is individual, and you have to address it directly, I think, Ekomananda. You have to look at each thing directly. But I would say that the world upon world, the world within worlds, is a way of looking at this, And when you see darkness and you honestly get a hint of something which you're not warm to, then move away from it. Move away from it.
Apart from listening, sorry to interrupt.
That's right, love. Go on.
Apart from listening to each other, making sure that the other party is being heard in all relationships. I'm assuming this applies to all relationships, father, mother, daughter and father, or all kinds, lovers.
Everything.
Anything else that you thought could be applicable to help people to merge together and to run a harmonious relationship?
Yes, and if you honestly experience toxicity, and you've looked at yourself deeply and sort of say, well, is there something that I may be doing to create this? And you can honestly say, as far as I understand, I can't see anything. I might be blind to this. And, this might be the reason why a particular person may have manifest before you. I don't know everything. I have, there's certain things in this particular world I need help for, and that's the reality. And you have to have enough humility to sort of say, well, I also have a limited form. With dealing with others who might be directing toxicity to you, if you're giving love and the feedback is toxicity, and you've done everything in your power to be able to communicate, and there's not equal listening from the other part, then you're right to protest that or to seek counsel and get support for that, because perhaps you might have attracted a relationship of some type which really isn't a loving one. A relationship should never not be loving. There's this, that somehow relationships dry up. There's no reason why any relationship should dry up. If love is existent, every relationship, any person where I have seen them exercising love, that relationship maintains a lovingness ongoing. And it's always so. Unless the other doesn't reciprocate. And that's also fine too. It can't be done in attachment or expectation. If it doesn't work for another person, that's perfectly good too. If you love someone and it's not working for them, Well, if you truly love them, then you will let them be free. That's the way it goes. And that's perfectly good. But that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of strength. That takes a lot of strength. And we have to learn that. We have to learn that, to be that strong, to be able to be that well timed, to sort of say, well, I love you very much. You're free to do as you feel. And I'm not trusting you to be as I think. I'm trusting. Trust isn't that. Trust isn't. It's more faith in love. Love is the most important thing. And what happens for the body and mind is not it. Love is persistent and goes on and on and on. It's here always. And you can check your own heart for this. Anyone who's slightly spiritually advanced, if they look at even past circumstance where there's been any aberration, there's still love, isn't there? There's still love. Love is there. Love doesn't disappear. It's just not attached. It's happy for things to find their right place. This is the most important thing. But you might have a lot, because you're in a healing circumstance, and you would see far more than I do, I'm sure. Far more. I would have lots to say about these things. Yes, Ekomananda.
Yes, I do see everyone goes through different kind of stories and getting caught up with the stories and attached to the individual so-called identity. I mean, I say that is a false identity. The journey of me coming to my spiritual awareness, awakening, and whatever word that might be relevant to describe my journey, I think it is a way to come to know the self, to come to understand what freedom is truly actually entails, and what the mind is here for. How can we use the mind to desire for higher, not just the physical world comfort, physical desires, physical sensations? In saying that, it seems that we are talking about relationships tonight, and how does knowing the absolute can help us to rise higher, not to fall, when we call falling in love. How does one can exercise their power, rising in their awareness, in understanding what the absolute really is, and therefore to attain pure form of love?
That's a really great question. If in meditation, when we go into the deeper sadhana, that highest presence that we recognize in the most refined, rarefied state, and we feel this in love too. We feel this in love too. There's a fulcrum that's always there, no matter what goes on in the world, whether it's pleasure or pain, because this is our position in relationship to things, is how we feel things. Well, this is relevant to the fulcrum, because that is love. It is absolute. It is truth. So really, in essence, once one gets meditation, then it doesn't matter what we're doing, it should be done in absolute love. The moment you stray from that and sort of say, my desire or my it has to be my outcome, well, this is a meeting place, perhaps with two people moving in a love circumstance. This is very, very particular, and it has to do with all these abilities that naturally happen to us, which is our ability to communicate, our ability to sense, our ability to communicate, our ability to sense, and that communication that goes on, where we refine all this together. And so that makes the particular even more, if you can achieve that in relationship, with which a lot of people have difficulty with. Very often people on the path have come through a multitude, and I know I have, a multitude of relationship circumstances which have had me turn away from a relationship and persist in the spiritual. But that isn't to forsake the relationships. That's just the outcome of it. Equally, as I've gone along, I've always noticed those people in deep love relationships and for where it works. So there you are in a spiritual state in full recognition of where loving relationship is working.
We have lost you, Sunyata. We can't hear you. Okay, let's wait for him to come back up as we are continually going through this session. I wonder if Anna Maria, you have anything to share with the audience?
My experience thus far, I see on a relationship level, my interactions are based on my attention to doing what I feel is correct for the well-being of both parties in the relationship, without expectations, without without selfishness. That's how I, and also in my case, I feel a very deep connection with another wonderful being, but I feel no neediness. Like there is no neediness. There is just being and sharing ideas, sharing laughter, sharing joy, without heaviness, without expectations, without demand of time, demanding of affection. It just happens. It's just it's an easy exchange and flow of love. Yeah.
That seems to be your journey, because we can see that you have been with us for quite a number of sessions now. Did your understanding on spirituality, or the absolute as our topic today, helps you to recognize your loving relationship with another, with any other individual?
Yes. It's not hard work to have loving interactions. It's not hard work. It comes easily from the heart. It comes very easily to be acting with love, taking actions with love, without expectation of something coming back, without expectation of gaining something. There is, yeah, that's
Sunyata, would you like to turn your phone?
Yes, I'm there. My phone seems to be flat.
Your phone. Can you rotate your phone?
Does it need to be horizontal or vertical?
just turn it.
Direction. Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
It needs to be horizontal.
All right.
What you did before, that was better. Turn your phone the other way around.
Like this, horizontal?
Yes. Perfect.
All right, perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
All right, good. Where were we? Where were we? There was a really good point that Anne-Marie was just saying then.
And then Maria said it's not hard work, which I might disagree. Maybe it's from the mind, but I'll share my experience in a moment. Sunyata, you have something to say?
Well, what came to mind when I just got a few little snippets of Anne-Marie's because I was coming in and out because of the internet. But I think it comes back to this. In meditation, what we learn of ourselves, we are 100% the world. We are the absolute. It is 100%. And then when you start realizing this, now there's no ego in this. It's just that everything that occurs in the world is in my world. It's all, I can't, everything that I'm seeing is of my world. It's me that's seeing it. It's me that's interpreting it. Now, so if I move through the world with no judgment and simply meet it as a loving being, then the world is really, really beautiful. My ability to be able to move through the world as a loving being is because I'm 100% inside myself. I'm 100% here. You know, sometimes the body might be unwell and I have to express ailment, but still I'm 100% here in the world. So my experience of relationship is that wherever I meet it 100%, then the relationship is according to that ratio. Now, not because I'm in judgment of the other, but if I'm met by a person who's 100% in themselves, and don't get me wrong here, how people occur to me is that 100%. It doesn't matter how they are. But if you're 100% in yourself, in your absolute certainty, now this thing might change. And it might change in the notion of relationship. But my feeling is that it's not to be that I'm holding on to a content of myself, being myself. This is totally a fluid beingness in flux that's meeting the other as 100% in its presence and its essence and its beingness and its nowness. It's here now. And so if two people meet in love, which is the relationships we have, then that's two people meeting with 100%, 100%. So you've got two people meeting at 200%. And if you've got an open listening to the other, now the other person might not have the preferable way of doing something, or they might, but this is easy to negotiate if there's no ego in it. You just simply say, oh, I think we should do it this way. And the other one says, if they've got a direct listening, say, oh, that's true. That's a good idea. I didn't think of that. It's really that simple, because even though we're 100% in the world, in ourselves, in the world of particulars, a huge volume of where we're experiencing life is the unknown. It's mostly the unknown. It's mostly the unknown. So relationship could only be a benefit in those terms. But interestingly enough, for so many people, it's a lack, and you'd have to ask each individual and explore what that is in the individual that has them be like that. What is it that they lose in being in love? It's an interesting thing, because how could anything be lost? It's just an adding on. It's all a bonus. That's my experience. And, you know, obviously in the past, it's not always been that, whether that's been my responsibility or another. But that's also something else we're learning through in life. You know, there's the constant of always refining. It goes on all the life. You never get to a station that's fixed in this world, because it's forever changing. All this material belongs to this world. We're just playing in it.
So what are you refining over the years?
Sensitivity.
Towards what?
Sensitivity toward everything. To be able to see it more deeply. Always, constantly, you know, like, and that can happen from the smallest thing. I mean, for a human being, another human being is a universe. So that's the greatest thing. That's like meeting a god or a goddess, really. In the world of worlds, this is one of the greatest things that we can actually meet, is another human being. But even in the most simple thing, like a painting, you know, like red is not just red, it's also the relationship of those things next to it. If you look at the multiplicity of what a human being is, it's only where we have expectation where that falls down, where we have expectation. And, one would expect that, what would one expect? Nothing. Just let it all be. Just trust it. Trust love. Just trust it. And it's all fine because you're fine in yourself. Everything else is a bonus.
Would you say you're an expert in relationship now?
No, because always the other will always bring an ample amount of new form. How could that be possibly so? In relationship, there's a humility in it. Love has a natural humility and grace. Who am I to say what is before me? Yes, this. It's God within you. I mean, namaste. It's God within you. You are that. And that immensity is as great as that in me, So this is how we approach one another in reverence. In reverence, not in assuming. That some things we're more comfortable than other things, but yeah, so no, one doesn't become an expert there. The expert is in returning to the absolute, to always have that clear base. That's the point in jnana. We have our clear base. So if we feel a little bit disturbed, we don't quite have the words to be able to communicate, come back to that clear base. But, that can take any form. Kali is, is the aspect of the feminine, which sort of demolishes male egos. These images are all created in forms of truths which work between the particular.
Well, when you say the sensitivity, when you say the absolute is the particular, in tonight's topic, we're talking about relationships. How would one understand the absolute but still fail in relationships? How did that happen?
Because we didn't have a relationship with the absolute. Because we turned our focus away from it. But look, also, you can't blame a person for the breakdowns of relationships. As you know, a person might come in with a relationship might be just tempered on a certain thing that needs to be balanced out with a person. It's like a healing relationship. You come in and you have a job to do. And sometimes relationships can occur like this too. So in the past, you'll notice the particularness, the dimension of that relationship. And if you can see the dimension of it, you can see instantly that it's not open to the absolute. If it was open to the absolute, it'd be really, really evident. It would have a very vast listening. It would be able to listen. It might not understand everything we might communicate for, but it would have a listening for one another, an absolute listening for one another. It would have that type of respect. And I think very much in relationships, when you see them break down, it's because one is trying to dominate another in some form. Manipulation happens a lot, and this can be really subtle.
With your understanding about the absolute.
And so for the more sensitive. Say again.
With your understanding about the absolute, I wanted to go back to your word about a particular job in relation to a relationship. Do you mean that is a karma? There's past karma that's not being resolved. The person is here to have a relationship with a particular person again.
Yes. And they'll cast up past the line where you've already realized these relationships will show up again. They'll show up and you'll know them. I mean, I don't talk very much about these things in past lives and stuff like that, because I think I don't really want to go too far into that. But there is really, really clear evidence that they are karmic. And very often it might not have anything to do with you, but really the other. And it's the sensitivity is for you to understand what your relationship with it that is. So, you know, perhaps we might make the mistake of having a physically intimate relationship with something which is a karmic relationship. It's probably not a good idea. It's probably better to sort out the karma before you go there. If you don't have a relationship that's based on karma, then those things won't come up. Those things won't come up. And I'm pretty clear on that, you know, because I've seen enough of it, and I am aware of past lives, even though I don't want to talk about it. And all the relationships were very, very particular, very particular. And for where, oh, sorry, say again.
Sorry to interrupt. I found that it's amusing how you use the word sensitivity. I'm not sure how Anna Maria responds to this. My understanding towards that is how you actually see the other person clearly. I could be totally wrong. In my personal experience, if we're talking about relationships, so in all kinds, with all our knowingness, how we define relationship, how we fall in love with each other, how we understand each other, how we listen to each other, how we serve others, and all of these things, the mind take a role, particularly assess this person, assess the quality, and evaluate the relationship, and observe how we feel towards each other. In hindsight, my personal experience, none of this has anything to do with what we call destiny or something supposed to happen. If I watch my own personal relationships in all kinds, business, professional, romance, nothing actually is determined by the mind. Because if the mind has any idea for what I could desire for, I desire for business success, romance with someone who's handsome, who's rich. You can name of all the criteria, but none of this actually happens. What actually happened? Look at our path, our journey. It's not what the mind wants. Therefore, I'm saying boldly that the mind has no control or whatsoever of what is happening in our life. Life just happens.
I agree totally. I agree totally. You know, so then what? But sensitivity isn't addressing the mind per se, except for where it gets in the way. So mind is only an obstacle when it has a conceptualization which creates a block. So if we get an idea about something, and really in honesty, that immediately is a block in essence. Of course, it's not quite that bad, but you could think of it that way. So the sensitivity isn't to make more refined mind. The sensitivity is to be beyond mind, to be consciousness itself. Consciousness is a sensitivity. Consciousness is just pure sensitivity. It doesn't have any agenda. It's just sensitivity. It's just feeling everything as it is. And for the fluid response of our life, of how we move comfortably in ourselves, is understanding the sensitivity in ourselves, because we've supposedly attained fluidity in our life. You know, there's a flow in it. You know, that's not to say we don't find resistance in certain things, but we know how to go around it and how to come to it and how to work through that thing. I think it's wholly and solely sensitivity that we're working from. It's feeling of a higher order, not feeling of the emotion. It's feeling of the etheric and beyond. That's what it is. It's the element of existence is that last refined portal of tangible stuff, which is feeling. The etheric feels in a completely different way. It's not doing it through ideas like, if I don't do this, I won't feel good and I won't attain happiness. It's got no agenda. It's not emotional. It's not psychomental. It's not psychophysical. It's not any of these types of things. It's just purely etheric. It's just purely etheric. It doesn't have any agenda. It just knows when it feels a resistance, right? And it doesn't, because it doesn't have an object, it will just simply move around that thing, right? But if it sort of hits lots of, repetitive things coming out of a form, then it will try to work it out. So then it has to draw on mind, it has to draw on feeling to be able to get an understanding of, okay, what's that before me? Why is that blocking? Which might have you need to force it away. You might have to be strong with it, or a number of things. It's not a moral thing. It's not a moral thing. Or you might have to bring it closer, depending on what that form is, But this is how it occurs to me. We're talking about that feeling matter of consciousness. Because really, then there's nowhere to get to. We don't really return to the absolute. We're always the absolute. If anything, what we're really talking about is not getting stuck in mind. But again, there's nothing wrong with mind, because we use this as a vehicle to create paths and directives for what we know. And so one says, like you have a course. It's like your healing program. You I don't know if this is your sensitivity out of what's being given to you gives you a directive, and then you can orchestrate some type of plan out of your knowing of how you might guide a person to a state of well-being, you see. So this is where mind is effective. It's the same in anything that I might do. It's for all of us, practical, requires mind. But the feeling we're talking about is an emotion. Motion is entanglement. Emotion is conceptualized thought crystallization, which has a set of concepts, and usually fear as its basis. The upper feeling of consciousness, if I can call it that, because it's not really the correct way of calling it, but I think it's worthy way of contemplating it too, is of a completely different matter. It's not been governed by fear. It's only what's happening in the very moment. It's only present. That is present. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Now, knowing the absolute, however, it does not guarantee the success of a loving relationship. And what advice would you have to share with the audience? How do they?
I would say it does. I would say it does, because that's going to bring you to a state of humility. And the things which become movable inside yourself, unless it's very general, like there's something where, you become abrupt with one another in relationship, and this will happen because there'll be blocks there. But block will be,
Well,
and
when
then the other will.
does, when you say it
Say
does,
again.
I'm cutting through. When you say it does, my understanding is the two people, both of them understand the absolute. Therefore, it has a higher probability of running a harmonious, loving,
Absolutely.
or whatever business relationship or father-daughter relationship, all kinds. Now, if one person
Because
is absent in the absolute where the partner is not, then it's a question mark.
Well, all you can really do is encourage both parties to go into deeper self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is the only way to understand yourself. And if one person is reluctant to go into self-inquiry, then their habit of being is usually blaming the world, blaming others, and blaming the conditioned self. And none of those things is who they are. And none of those things are the truth. None of those things are the truth. There is no blame. There is no blame in any circumstance, because, of course, all the conditioned self always will always perpetuate itself, because it's built out of the self's love to be. So we're really, really attached to our beingness and the form that's been created out of our beingness. So as deep meditators, I disagree with Gautama Buddha about the Atma as being absolute, as being void and empty. I am much more comfortable with the notion that self of itself is a fabric which is all through this existence and appropriate for this life. And it's not that we're needing to change. What we're needing to be with is that which is absolute love within us. And then in a loving relationship, the things that attract two human beings about coming together is the component of that love which they are. So two people love one another because of the way they are. And so, there's no real big need for change here. Self-realization doesn't mean the devastation of the self or the eradication of the self. It's only in increments. It will be one aberration moved, which will move a mountain of crap out of a person. It will just all fall away. All that crap will just fall away. And you won't even miss it because you didn't like it anyway. It was the part which caused all the hardship. It was the stuff that caused all the fear. It was just, like you don't miss it. It's gone, like good. No one wants to be attached to their fear. So, I think for the self, like we have as individuals, we have different aesthetics and different qualities. And I think for two people coming together, well, that's just a journey. That's just a journey. And if it's in love, well, you'd look at it in the same way as you'd look at colors. They're just fun. It's just fun. Should be. Should just be fun. You sort of say, oh, well, beloved is showing yellow today. Is very, very beautiful. I'm having a black day. So, let's see, I like black and yellow. I think, but beloved might not like black, She sort of say, don't you think you could do blue today? Okay, I'll do blue today. Oh, blue and yellow day. We'll have a blue and yellow day. And everything can sort of happen through conversation. It's really, really easy. If something's not working for the other, they say, well, you sure you don't have an attachment to something silly there? And the other one will say, well, perhaps, what do you think? And so beloved comes forward. This is the boon of a relationship. It should be the boon of relationship. Because, the universe of the other is going to create opportunities for the one who's already habituated in a certain state of their self. It has to be a bigger life. It has to be really, really good. That's what it should be. It should be like Krishna and Radharani. Just an absolute delight, a lot of fun. You don't get stuck on small points. That's just the nature of this world and this time. It's got a set of attitudes and preoccupation with ways of being which are not true. And we're none of that. Best to go back to the authentic self. That's been formed over a long period of time. And that, is different yet again to what we call personality in this world, or the type of thing that we show up with in this world. Is very, very small. But anyway, it's a big topic if you go here. It's huge, the particular. It's huge. And, if there's love between two people, then that's what two people do. They're looking at two universes. And it should be a lot of fun. If it's not, well, you probably don't love the other person. Let it go. Let it go. It's all right. Let them go. That's all right. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, because they're loving beings too. They'll be fine. Let them go. Yeah. Yeah. Love first, always. And love the self first, always. Yeah. Love others as you love yourself, always. Yeah. Yeah. Because what are you doing when you're loving yourself, but just looking at all these beautiful colours? That's all that's happening. So what's the difference in seeing anything, whether it's a human being or a puppy?
Thank you for the wonderful sharing. I wonder if Anna Maria, do you have anything to share? Questions or your thoughts, idea that pops up in your head?
Oh, I agree with it's very simple. I believe it's simple. You just love others the way you wish to be loved. It's very simple, and it's not hard work.
Absolutely true. Absolutely
It's
true.
not hard work.
Yeah. No, there's no work in it at all. It's
No.
beautiful. Yeah, too true. Too true. Too true.
Mhm.
Yeah, too true. It's only desire that gets in the way, and they're just ideas. Ideas float into people's head, and people think that they are their ideas. We're not the ideas. They're just convenient or inconvenient. You say, why do you want to be thinking that? That's just going to cause trouble. Yeah. It's just a thought.
Thank you very much for the wonderful sharing. And this gives me some material to contemplate, because I always think relationships are hard work. So something for me to work it on and to meditate through. And I love that the saying, we love each other for the way they are and not to change who they are. And that is a beautiful
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
perhaps we could end today's session by meditation, a guided meditation, a silent meditation.
Yeah. Yes, I'll do that. I'll be happy to do that. I'd be happy to do that if that's okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. And you can round it off when we come to the end. Give us a little bit of time, though, just to sort of go in deep for a bit. All right. So here we are. The absolute meeting the particular. That brings a big smile to our face. No hard work. Nothing to be done, really. But that we love to share. So let's focus on ourselves for a little bit. Come back in, come back in, come back on. We look at the shining one, the one filled with love, love smiles. There are no issues, there are no problems. We work with everything as it comes, not to worry about the world. Let the world go. Let the universe go. Let everything go. Come into the most inner of inner, into the most inner of inner. Atmasarap, pineal aspect, the light aspect in the mind. Up higher, medullam, oblongata, the crown chakra, up above. Extending out beyond the top of the head. 18 inches just above. Out into the strength of the aura. And feel the loving being. The loving being is saturated throughout the aura. That we call our private space. That we share with loved ones. Those that we wish to heal. those who we wish to share love with. The shining one, the loving one from the Atmasarap, through the medulla oblongata, the crown chakra, above the head, out into the aura, about a meter broad. Contemplate the personal aura. This is the space where we heal. This is the space where we love. This is for intimate beloved. This is for all those who we love. This is our shining. This is our clarity. Now from the pineal aspect, the shining one between the eyes, the all-seeing eye of Shiva, up through the medulla oblongata, crown chakra, up through the middle of the head, up above, out, beyond. 90 meters aura. All that within us is for beloved. All this of us is for healing. All this is effortless, totally effortless. It requires nothing of us. We share this in love and grace. This is the prayer. This is Buddha nature. This is Christ nature. This is the Christ one. This is of everyone. This is the natural state. This is Sahaja, the shining one, out. Effortlessly out. Big deep breath, drawing back in. The pineal gland, the shining one. Look. Medulla oblongata, top of the head, out the crown chakra, out beyond, up to the ceiling of the sky. It's 3 kilometers everywhere, our aura, the loving space for beloved, loving space for healing, the loving space for prayer, for all those who partake. This is the Christ consciousness. This is the Buddha nature. This is love. Feel the shining, effortlessly, no effort required. Sahaja, the natural state. I am that. This is that. I am that. This is the particular. This is the absolute. Identical. Nothing to do. Nothing to say. Nothing to change. Just to partake. And breathe all that in. Maybe a few breaths. Breathe it in. Back to the pineal gland. The shining one, the all-seeing eye, Shiva. The pineal, up through the Mongati, crown chakra, top of the head, out, beyond, out into the cosmos. Meet the moon, go beyond. Cosmos, cosmos, Brahma, all of cosmos, everything. This is our aura. This is the absolute. This is the Brahm. This is kissing up to the Ram aperture. Beyond Brahm, here, that, and sit here. This is the space of beloved. This is the space of the loved one. This is the space of healing. This is the space of breath. This is the space of the Christ consciousness, Buddhahood, all the great arbiters, all being, all that is good, all that is good, the creation. I am that, all of that. This is Sahaja. This is the natural state. This is the assumption. This is the Baba, the conviction, the assumption and the conviction. I am that. I assume this. I'm the conviction of this. This is purity. There's no effort in this. Nothing to be done. Effortless. All beloved is here. I am beloved. All is beloved. Listen to the Om. Witness the Ek, the light, the oneness. Look at the light, the shining. Breathe, breathe comfortably. Easy. Hold, hold, hold. Stay here. We can work with a particular here. We can move with the particular here. We can do small things in this state. We can do big things in this state. We can participate in love, in healing, in prayer, in the Christ consciousness and Buddha nature, in all the great arbiters. I am that. The Brahm, the Parabrahm, the absolute known. And we hold this as our natural state. This is Sahaja. This is a quality of Sahaja. This is the assumption. This is the conviction. Both names describe our attitude. It's passive bliss, Ananda. It's not a frivolous joy. It's deep bliss, Ananda. Ananda. Listen for the sound. So this is the simple exercise, expanding from the atmasara, which is that aspect of the pineal gland, up to cosmic consciousness. The absolute is the parabrahma, which is ever more expansive beyond cosmic consciousness itself. This aura exercise can be practiced anytime, easily, whenever one thinks about it. One feels into it in the extended space, and one feels into it into the close space, or where the aura is close to the physical body, where the aura is close to the emotional body, which is the more extended one, or beyond. So these sensitivities, this feeling space, is not loaded with the aberration of thought, but has just the simple intuition of meeting life. And it's life that we meet. And we meet life in love, in devotion, with a sense of prayer, with a feeling that everyone is in a state of well-being, well-wishing. You become more adept at being able to expand out, feeling the sensitivity that we are as aura rather than mind and rather than body. And then breathe again and take a few breaths and assimilate it. Feel the peace of that great expansiveness, that all this movement that can go on without us, and we needn't do a thing. Our love is not a doing. Our love is a recognition. Our love is a recognition which might have us act or receive. And it's important that we give and receive evenly. Because it's this point which creates grace in us. All opportunities to give love come in many forms. So to accept a gracious gift is equal to giving. As we give freely, we receive freely. It's the same nature as love. It's an expression of love. It has no obligation, has no expectation. And this is throughout all the being, in myriad different forms of energy. And all we need be is sensitive. It's sensitive. Sensitivity is like listening. So we'll come back now. I'll bring it back. Come back. Take some breaths. Breathe it deep into the heart. Deep into the heart. So when we breathe in deep, we breathe into the heart. And receive that grace. So come to, as you care to, come back. Thank you, Ekomananda, for organising this for us. Hope we did this.
It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing the divine guidance and the divine absolute love and light to all beings.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Do this exercise. It's very, very good.
Let's all come meet in love with the understanding of the absolute. Soak yourself in love and in light. See you in the next episode.